So, Retro Gamer has a great 10-piece hands-on special on the A500 Mini. We're going to have a little look at this inside the magazine, and I'm going to play 5 public domain games that you may want to think about downloading to your A500 Mini when it arrives. Let's go. Okay guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. We're going to be having a look at the Retro Gamer magazine, which is just out this weekend. As of this video, 18th of March 2022, the Retro Gamer magazine has a 10-page hands-on special on the A500 Mini. Obviously, the A500 Mini was supposed to release 25th of March, but it's now been pushed on to probably the beginning of April, maybe later, depending which part of the world you actually live in. But without further ado, let's have a quick look at the Retro Gamer magazine. So this is the actual article, it's 10 pages, and it's not the most in-depth article, but it does have some interesting features that are worth sort of talking about. Obviously, I would urge anyone, if you're a retro gaming fan, especially in the UK, you could pick this up at any time in the next few weeks, and I would highly recommend it because it's a fantastic little magazine. Covers lots of retro gaming aspects, especially if you love A500 Mini, Cade. The EliteColeyBoy Mini, for example, which is just released, there's a review in the magazine, and it's pretty cool. So it obviously covers some details about why it's only a Mini, the emulation, how to load games, for example, and it's pretty interesting, it's pretty cool. And it also covers some of the aspects about the different options that you've got when you actually have the Mini. The usual thing that you see in a lot of Minis today about image smoothing, CRT effects, screen fits. For example, I think it's just really a personal choice what you actually prefer. The actual article talks about the different Minis that are out there. Obviously, the makers of this made the C64 Mini, so it will probably have a very similar feel to that and the carousel workings, for example. It doesn't have a great deal of detail and depth, but it does talk about the licensings that they actually got and why they chose those games. But licensing is a bit of a nightmare and it can be quite expensive. They talk about trying to hunt down the licensing for some games and basically just hitting brick walls because they can't discover who actually owns the games anymore, which is probably why we still have a lot of EA and Team 17 games on here, because those companies are still very much making games, so it's probably a little easier to try and get the licensing from those companies, even though it might be a little more expensive, but it's quite interesting. This page is probably the best page that's of interest to me, in the fact it tells you how to upload your games, your own games, via the WHD Sideloading app, which you actually need to use a USB stick, pretty much in the same way as the C64 Mini, but you need to actually download a package from this website that they include, put all your ROMs onto the USB stick and then put it back to your Mini, and you'll then get this sort of icon on your carousel, which you can then choose and you can then play your own games. And interestingly, it says each game will have their own sort of save slots as well, which is pretty cool. The most interesting part of this is to do with the file type. Now, I believe, I'm not 100% sure right enough, that the file type has to be LHA type, which is probably compatible with the WHD load. Any other type, I'm not sure it's going to work. For example, .adf files may not work. I don't know that for sure, and probably won't know till we actually get the unit itself and actually test it for ourselves. But that's just a word of warning when you are trying that. It may not work with every file type. It maybe have to be the .lha file type. We'll find out, we'll cover that more when we actually get the Mini, but I believe that is possibly the case. That may be worked on so that we can play different games further down the line, and they always do updates all the time, and the C64 Mini has been out for about 4 or 5 years, and they were still doing firmware updates this past Christmas in 2021. So if there's anything you need, anything wanted, any fixes, they will probably cover that in the next coming weeks and months of the A500 Mini's lifetime. So it talks a lot more about the licensing, the loading, and sort of thing. Talks about the control pad. One thing, it doesn't really go into any aspect of the keyboard functionality. Obviously it talks about the fact it's not a working keyboard, but doesn't say how the virtual keyboard is going to actually work. There's a lot of games on here that actually need that keyboard to use. For example, the picture there, F-16 Combat Pilot, probably needs some keyboard functionality. Don't know how that works. It's possible they've mapped some of the controls to the actual controller, which is here. I don't really know. It doesn't really tell you an awful lot about it. We probably won't know till we actually get it. But obviously that control pad is very much designed similar to the CD32, but it definitely looks a little bit better, if I do say so myself. Again, won't know how that works till we actually get the Mini itself. And last, it sort of talks about all the games. There's the game arts, and all the different things. It talks about the resolution. It talks about 720p, why they've used that and not 1080p, for example. I think it's a lot harder to do 1080p. It takes up a lot more memory. And realistically, 720p is most likely enough for a lot of these games. They never ran at that resolution back in the day, so 720p is more than enough for some of these games. You will probably just notice the games are a lot more blockier as soon as they go up to 1080p. And the last page just covers some more information about what we're just talking about. It doesn't go into a lot of great detail about the games, for example, and it talks lastly on the shipping logistical challenges that they are experiencing amongst everybody else. Also, we know that the A500 Mini has been delayed till April, probably later on some other parts of the world, unfortunately, but it's definitely coming. It will definitely release very, very soon, which I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on one. Okay guys, I'm going to have a look at 5 public domain games that you could maybe download and play on your A500 Mini when it comes out. Let's have a look at them. So guys, that's our look at the public domain games, which were kind of like homebrew games as we called them then, but back in the day we called them public domain games, which were pretty much free games available to everyone, whereas homebrew games these days you probably have to pay for some games are free, it really just a mix and match, but public domain games were how they were known back in the day, pretty much single person more or less using that and creating that in their bedroom, which was fantastic. Anyway, let me know, do you know any other public domain games or homebrew games that I've not covered that I should really have a look at for the A500 Mini? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching guys, please like, subscribe, and we'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.